day 7 of our Advent tea, and we've got another one on the Advent calendar. This one looks like a sleigh, so we're going to check into that and get our tea started, and then we'll have a little chat. I was doing so good yesterday. There we go. Okay. All right, let's reach in and see what we got. All right. Okay. Oh, this one sounds promising. It's called Second Breakfast Blend. Black tea, chamomile, calendula, licorice root, pink peppercorn, and chocolate extract. Okay, that's quite a combination. All right, so I'm going to open it up, put it into our little tea bowl. Get the little sticker out of the way there. Okay. Swear I get more dust on my table than anything. All right, there we go. And get the string out of the way. Okay, and we're gonna put it in our cup. So I've got a fancy little cup there today that a friend of mine gave me quite a long time ago. But it's pretty and purple, and it felt like it would be a good start to the day. All right, so we'll let that steep. And while we do, I have a few things to tell you. So I've been reading, of course, and finished a couple of books besides the ones I've already told you about. However, Oliver's laying on my piece of paper that's telling me things. And I'm trying to move him just subtly here. There we go. Okay. So the first one that I finished just a few days ago was called The Snowman Killer, and that one was it was really good. It was a little bit different because usually you get, I mean, it still had the small town, but the person was a little bit outside of the small town. And she had been a police officer and a homicide detective, I believe. And then she left that life and had started writing books. So this person now is basically stalking her based on one of her books. And so she's wondering, like, is this, someone that she had put in jail before who found out her pen name? She's not really sure. But there is, she does have, a best friend, and she has, this detective that's in the town, and, like a little bit of a small town atmosphere as well. She also runs the local coffee shop. Um, so anyway, it's all very cozy in that way, and then the murder, of course. But that's an interest. Yeah. Okay. So I'm not saying anymore because I don't I don't want to give anything away. But anyway, I really enjoyed it. I would probably give it probably 4 to 5 stars. The other one I read, or actually listened to on Audible, was An Amish Cookie Club Christmas. Um, I don't know what exactly I was expecting, but that probably wasn't it. It was well done. It wasn't that. I've never read or listened to anything about the Amish before. And I mean, I know a decent amount about the Amish people, but it's the first time I've ever really read a book about it. And so they did a good job. It was, there was no, um, they weren't mean about it, like it was respectful to people who were Amish. But it was a bit of a romance. And then the characters were interesting, but I guess my big thing is I like, I don't know. I know not everyone can be nice, and in books sometimes it's better if they're not all nice. But sometimes I got a little annoyed at the snipping between some of the women, and I don't know. Maybe I expected better. I don't know what it was, but anyway. So I would give it 3 out of 5 stars. So those are the two that I just finished. So I'm listening to A Dog Named Christmas. I'm still working on Dachshund to Death. And oh, and the other book that I started, I won't tell you what I think of it yet, but the other book that I've started was one that wasn't on my list. Big surprise. And but I had been looking for a book that encompassed not just Christmas, but the other holidays that are celebrated around this time of year. So this one is actually does Christmas, Hanukkah, and Ramadan, which I know Ramadan's not, you know, necessarily this time of year, but it changes each year and moves forward. So this is supposed to be a book about all of the holidays coming together at once, just on that particular year. So it's called, I think it's called Three Christmases. No, that's not it. Three Holidays and a Wedding, I think is what it's called. Anyway, it's, yeah, I'll tell you more about it later, but it's basically about these three families. Trying to think whether it's, I think it's more like two families, but they have connections to all three religions, and they're headed to Toronto for various reasons, and trying to get there in the middle of a snowstorm. And they're from the U.S., so they're not used to what a Canadian winter would necessarily look like, and things don't go quite the way that they're planned. So I'll leave it at there for now. So those are what I've been reading. And then today we're going to talk about the characters you'd like to be friends with. So I don't know about you, but sometimes when I read books, I think, it'd be interesting to know this person in real life. And, they seem so similar to you. You would love to be friends with them, or maybe they seem so different than you that you'd like to be friends with them. So we will check that out. I'm giving the tea another second here to steep. So the first one I thought of was when I read Christmas at Seashell Cottage. There's a character in that. Her name is Dr. Charlie Yang, and she I feel like I could be friends with her because um, she could use a friend for one thing. She didn't seem to have a lot of female friends except this one woman that she had went to university with or med school or something, and that person lived farther away. So she seemed like she could use a friend, and she also grew up in a way that she was. Um, it was very much that she needed to be strong and be accomplished and do things in a certain way. And so I feel like she's kind of tightly wound, and so it would be good to be friends with her and kind of just see if we could have some fun together. So that was the first one. The next one was Murder at the Mayfair Hotel. Murder at the Mayfair Hotel, and it's Cleopatra Fox is the main character, and she actually shows up. Her parents have passed away, and her grandmother had just passed away, and she is goes to live with her last remaining relatives, who turns out is the kind of rich side of the family, and they own this hotel. So she goes to stay with them. And I can't tell really from the story exactly how old she's supposed to be, maybe 30s. But she seems very down to earth, very pleasant, not caught up in all of the grandeur of what her relatives have. You know, she's not even sure that she's comfortable with some of that, like she'd rather just get a job, than live off their money. So anyway, she seemed like a very down to earth character, and I thought it would be fun to be friends with her. So the next one is Murders of a Feather, and the character's name, I can't remember her last name, or if they even give her last name, but her first name is Kate, and she's a vet. And so I really liked her just because, I mean, she has a great love of animals, which, so do I. and she's very much again one of these people who's very down to earth and seems like I'd love to learn some of the things that she knows, about animals. And she seems like she would be just comforting and relaxing and a good person to get to know. So that's some of them. So let's try our tea and then we'll talk about a few more. All right, so I'm going to put my tea ball in another cup here. All right, so let's try this. It's good. What is in it again? Okay, so I don't know if I can taste the chocolate, but I do taste, something a bit sweet, so could be the chocolate. I think it's the chamomile probably I'm tasting more than anything. But yeah, it's very good. I don't taste any licorice, which I'm fine with that because I'm not sure I'd like the licorice. And pink peppercorns, I guess I'm not totally sure what pink peppercorns taste like, but I don't taste anything peppery, if that makes sense. But yeah, mostly the chamomile, which is a nice soothing kind of taste, and then a bit of sweetness. So yeah, I would give that one probably a 4 out of 5. Haven't found the holy grail of tea yet, though. It's coming, I'm sure, but not yet. So the next one that I thought of was From the Women by Kristen Hanna. And if you saw my review on that, I was over the moon over that book. It was so good. And the nurse that's in that, Frankie McGrath, I could see being friends with her. Um, I think she feels that after being in Vietnam and everything, I think she feels that she is broken. And I think in some ways, all of us are a little broken. I mean, I don't think anyone's had a perfect life. If you have, feel free to comment. I'd love to hear about it. Um, but I think that she could use a friend and someone who um, would be understanding, and yeah, I just think she would make a good friend, and I think she had very close women friends when she was in Vietnam, and even though she still has those friends, I think she also could use to make some civilian friends. So that was my thought with her. And then and then the other ones, maybe some of them are a little silly, but Oliver the Chatty Corgi. There's no saying it has to be people friends. I would love to be friendly with a dog who talks. I'm good with that. I could listen. So in that way, I think he would be a fun friend. I don't have too many dog friends in my life, a couple. And the other one was Baby from the Baker Street Mysteries, who is a mastiff. And again, I think, I would love to be friends with a big, huge dog like that. Drooling at all wouldn't bother me. So I think that would be kind of cool. And then Part of Your World was, I think it's Abby Jimenez. I probably just messed up her last name, but anyway, there's one of the male characters in that book. He's the male romantic lead, I guess. His name is Daniel Grant, and he's just a really nice guy who does the best that he can for people, and really kind of he's not false. He's not, um, you know, doesn't seem to be a nasty bone in his body. He's just really all about helping people and looking after his town, and then the woman that he falls in love with, and so I'd like to be friends with someone like that. I think that genuine people are um, maybe getting a little harder to find these days with so many things going on. So yeah, I think he'd be a good friend. And let's turn the page, Oliver. He's sitting right here beside me. I'm surprised he's not up in my face, but he's not. So the next one was from the Moonglow sisters. So there's 3 sisters. There's the first one, Maddie, who was very stubborn and kind of tightly wound. There was Shelley, who was ended up caught up in a cult, and she kind of blamed herself for everything in the family. And then there's Gia, who is the youngest, and she's a kite maker and has always kind of been the people pleaser of the family, and trying to mend fences and things. So don't know as I'd want to be friends with all of them, although I'm sure if they were sisters, if you're friends with one, you kind of end up being friends with all of them. But I'd kind of like to be friends with Gia, just because, in her case, the fact that she, uh, I, not the people pleaser side of her maybe, but the fact that she makes kites and she knows kind of how to have fun, and I could use a little more of that. So I think she would be fun to be friends with. The next one is Mukesh, from the reading list. So anyone who's read that book, he's an elderly Indian gentleman, and uh, he's just so still mourning the loss of his wife. You know, caught up in his family, but he's not. He's not really happy about his daughters kind of inserting themselves so much in his life sometimes. So he's very sweet, and loves books and loves to talk about books, and yeah, I think he would make a good friend too. So I'm just gonna take another little sip of my tea here. So I'd love to hear what some of your list is when it comes to who you'd like to be friends with. Um, I didn't put in the most obvious one for me, because I'm sure you've heard me talk about the Christmas Tree Farm mysteries far more than you need to. But but Holly White in that book, of course, I'd like to be friends with her too. Not for any particular reason. I mean, maybe I'd get along better with her mother. I don't know. But just the fact that the whole place is Christmassy, I think would be maybe fun to go and be friends, and stay there for the holidays and things. Would I want to live in a Christmas town all year round? Probably not. but for December it'd be fun. Whoops, there goes Oliver. I moved something and he jumped. So the next one that I was thinking of is Lily Baines. She was from a book by Kate Quinn called Signal Moon. I always have a hard time with that word. Anyway, she is in 1943, I believe, and she gets this radio transmission from someone in 2023, and so it's her kind of. I kind of want to be friends with her because she's got an open mind, and she's curious, and she doesn't give up. She was trying to help this person in 2023, and not really, not totally questioning how a signal could get through so many years later. So just she seemed like she would be someone who would be interesting to be friends with. I think I got two more here. One is, oh, three more. One is Ivy Neal, who's from The Brighter the Light. She inherits this seaside cottage from her grandmother, and I could use a friend with a seaside cottage. But besides that, she just seems lovely, and she had, a great relationship with her grandmother, like trying to, um, growing up, it was a good relationship, and then they kind of drifted a little bit. But she still knew that was her safe place, and she takes in a dog, and she's again just good people. So I think it would be neat to be friends with her. And then the last two are men. One is from Beneath a Scarlet Sky, and that's Pino Lella. And from what I gathered, he is actually a real person, that the story was based on, at least. And so it's him during World War II, and he's hiding people and trying to get them over the Swiss mountains. And he goes through a lot. And so I just think that he's very brave, he's very committed, and again, just a person of real character that I would like to be friends with. And the last one, and I think half of the people on my list, I think, have been people um, that don't necessarily have something that would make me want to be their friend. it's also the fact that they need a friend. So the last one is definitely that. It's from the book Neverwhere by Neil Gaiman, and his name is Richard, and he's very much trying to think of another character, maybe in TV or something that would be similar. I guess if you ever watch British television and you see like the Keeping Up Appearances show, there's a character on there named Richard who's he's very much kind of meek and mild, and his wife kind of controls everything and tells him what to do, and and I kind of got the same feeling with the character from Neverwhere, because he reminds me of that sort of person. He's very scared of everything. He's very meek in the beginning of the book, and he doesn't always, he never feels like he fits in, and he just is kind of one of these people that just gets through life, but he's not really living it. So it seemed like it could have used a really good friend that would, kind of come alongside of him and help him to, have more confidence in himself and his abilities. So anyway, that's my very long list. I'm sorry it's so long. I got, at first I thought, I'm never going to think of anybody I want to be friends with in these books, but the more I thought about it, the longer the list got. So anyway, that was my list of all the people that I was thinking of. So it's again, I'd love to hear your comments. I'd love to know, even a couple of friends that you could think of in books. I'm not really. I know a lot of you may think of people from Little Women or Jane Eyre. Those aren't really my kind of books. I mean, yes, I've read them, but um, there's they're not really people I would think of offhand to be friends with. So just me. Um, so the tea has been good. It's it's not bad. It's like I said, I'd probably give it 4 stars. I like the flavor of it. And then it's just a kind of a bad pain day here. So I'm gonna go rest for a little bit before work, take some pain medication, and try to get through this day. I think it's gonna be a busy one, so we'll see how it goes. All right, talk to you soon, friends. Bye bye.